am at another desk with new intro music and a new season 6 of Funny Not Funny with Jim and Lionel. Hi, Lionel.
Hi, Jim.
So,
What's going on?
oh, oh,
You had to ask.
yeah, I had to ask. I'm in a totally new location. I'm in Jamaica Plain. I'm looking. It's actually quite green here. It's very nice, pretty neighborhood. And I have moved, as Jeff Turela says, all by myself. So uh, my wife and I split up. And over the course of the time that the podcast has not been publishing, I moved all my crap, and you helped from my house and my office
Mhm.
to an apartment in Jamaica Plain. And I am living on my own for the first time since 1988. Can you believe that? This is the
Really?
first time I've actually had my own place, not sharing it, 1988. So
Wow.
that's wild. The whole thing is wild.
How's it feel?
It's a mix. It is a delightful location, and it's a nice place. It has a nice back deck. Um, there are trains that go by that I can hear from the back deck, but I can't hear from inside here. It's actually very quiet in here. I think you're getting a lot of room noise, but I'm going to be putting up some baffling to my right side here, so that will be a little quieter. And uh, so how to describe what it's like? It is really just a complete upheaval in my life. Um, Everything has changed. So right now, my kids are with me, and they're in the kitchen eating Indian food while I record this with you. We're splitting time with the kids. Um, the kids have adjusted very well. They've been setting up their rooms here,
And they
and
have a
they did.
future as they've discovered their hidden talents as furniture assemblers, if I understand
Yeah,
correctly.
that's right. They assembled all their own furniture. So that was great because I assembled like 13 pieces of IKEA furniture over the course of the past month. And
Your
I
hands
mean,
get
I
raw.
developed, yeah, yeah, not just that, but like you and I did a bunch. You actually did the kitchen island all by yourself, which I don't, you're just a madman.
I've had a
Um,
lot of experience. I've done
oh my
this. I did the
gosh.
thing in the hallway, the little coat rack bench thing
Yeah,
in the
you did the coat
hallway,
rack and the
and the
island. And it was like,
calyx.
I like snapped off for a second and you had like two things done. It was nuts.
I tell you, I missed
But
my calling it life. But they've
just
really. I was born with an Allen wrench in my hand, like John Henry.
mm. Well, my youngest has all IKEA stuff. Actually, IKEA has really come a long way, I think, or else I missed something when I was first buying stuff from IKEA. But some of this stuff is fantastic. Or maybe I just picked the right pieces and they match really well and they're to my taste and they work really well. So um, actually looked around outside of IKEA and we ordered a bunch of things. Same kind of assembly process, just from different locations.
Yeah,
And so their room is a little bit more well, it has different style. So um,
but digging it.
yeah,
Do
totally
they
digging
like their
it.
spaces?
Yeah, yeah, so they do. They do. It's been a really hot summer. So and
Have
we've
they
got
stuck
one
things on the
AC.
wall?
Yeah, well, we have some things up actually. We've got actually they don't have stuff on their walls yet. We're getting them like
Really?
poster hangers so they can swap out different posters.
Okay.
Uh, and um,
You gotta get fridge magnets.
well, but it's a kind of fridge where you not magnets don't stick.
What kind of fridge?
A
What are we
stainless
living
steel
in the
front.
Soviet Union?
I, you know,
What
I
fridge?
wonder. Sometimes I wonder.
What fridge? He doesn't.
Very shortly we might be.
Yeah. Welcome to the Soviet Socialist Republic.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but
The
okay,
Russian Federation.
but that's cool though. I mean, but believe me, they'll go nuts once they figure out they can stick things they can adhere things to the wall with gay abandon. Trust me,
That's right.
they'll
Stuff will get
find it. Yes,
stuck.
yeah, stuff
Absolutely.
will get stuck.
So I did. I ordered a poster for my oldest, who it's Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and that was their choice. And then And we have these kind of cool poster hangers. They can kind of swap posters out from inside of it.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's it's about 85% done here, and it's been I've been just been exhausted. Um, Everything is upside down. I don't have that really amazing office anymore for two reasons. One, it was a lot of extra money, and then two, it's a commute from here, and I just don't want to commute.
Yep.
So I'm running everything out of here. Um, but Yeah, more or less, that's my situation. It's all, the hardest part about one of the hardest things about it is just explaining it to my friends. Like,
Yeah. Gets
you
tedious.
know, you have to
Yeah.
kind of tell them the story, and
Uh, yeah.
it's annoying.
It is. It's like showing up with like a shiner, you know.
Yeah,
Where'd you
yeah,
get that?
yeah.
Shut up. Look, here.
I know
I printed something up. Here, have a copy.
exactly right.
I don't feel
Yeah,
like explaining it
I
any
know.
further. I get no
So
joy from explaining this. So here's
I don't want anybody showing up at your old place and saying, "Hi, I'm here to see Jim." Well,
yeah. So
mm,
have you discovered more things? Because I remember when I was there helping you move in,
yeah.
I loved the park in the back. I thought
Hmm.
that was awesome. And so have you discovered new things about the neighborhood that have really surprised you?
Well, we really didn't find any of the great food places, although that noodle place was great.
Mhm.
And I don't remember the name of it, but they just did pho, and it was really good. And then we went to a couple of pubs. We had some beers. I'm not really drinking beers anymore. I'm drinking this. It's actually quite good. Sierra de Nevada no alcohol IPA.
Oh,
Um, and and I've been. It's really hard to do all of this and keep my work schedule up. But we've walked around. Ula Cafe still holds up. It's kind of one of the better ones, and there's a nice bakery nearby that we went to. Kids and I went there, and we had a birthday celebration here, which was fun. We ordered out sushi, which was pretty good, from a place that does like Thai food and sushi, but the sushi was good.
right.
And then I don't know, but I still haven't gotten into Brassica. Brassica apparently is like the place.
Oh.
So everyone tells me, "Have you been to Brassica?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm sort of too lazy to make a reservation or
And
something."
what's the nearest food store? Is it a Wegmans or is it a Trader Joe's or what's
Well, there's a
nearby?
Stop and Shop not too far. There's a Whole Foods not too far, and there's something right up the street called the Happy Mart. I'm really giving away where I'm living, but um, the Happy Mart is I don't know. It's a lot of Goya products and fruit and vegetables. There's also farmers markets on the weekend in the summer that I really haven't taken advantage of. And down the road is a bit is Roslindale, and there's a great big farmers market on the weekend there.
Cool.
So there's a lot. It's a really different neighborhood than any other place I've lived in. It's closest to Somerville, but it's really different than Somerville too. It's a lot more diverse, and yeah, so far I'm digging it, and I'm also enjoying being in charge of my own life.
Yep.
It's a really different feeling, even though I'm still a parent,
Yeah.
um, but I'm a single parent, part time,
Right.
and I'm a full time singles parent, but they're with me part time, so it's a huge adjustment. It's just completely gigantic. Um, I have one strange thing was I kind of moved in here and people started offering me gigs, so I'm sort of focused on playing more. I did a gig at the public library in Hyde Park,
Oh,
and there was and this is thanks to a guy named Terry Kitchen who actually hooked me up with that and also connected me with the Square Root. And I'm doing a show there with Jabbering Trout on the 28th
right.
of August. And Jabbering Trout, I just have so much respect for Tom
I
Burris. We
do
need to get
too.
him on.
When you
What a
played that
great
stuff
writer.
for me, I was
Unbelievable.
amazed.
Blown, right? He
Really
knows
good.
his way around a lyric. I feel like a little embarrassed in my lyrics when I'm playing my songs. We did Tom came by, we had some beers and we sat on the back deck and swapped some songs. Damn it, his stuff is really good.
Yep.
Really good. I could learn a lot from him. So I ran into at the library gig, I ran into a guy named Steve Friedman. Now, Steve Friedman's really he's sort of well known among certain people around here. He's been an audio engineer for since I arrived in Boston. So that would have been like 1989.
Uh-huh.
And I recorded my first CD, Straw Man, at his place, which is the attic of his house in
Okay.
Hyde Park. So there's Steve in the audience at the library gig. And I asked him if he was still recording. He goes, "Well, I'm retired, but I still pick up a project here and there. You know, it's fun work if you can get it." And then he described a couple of his clients and the kind of stuff he's doing. I said, "Well, I've been writing a song a week. I've got 32 songs
I got
in the bag."
32. How much time you got?
Yeah. I'm like, "I really need to get some just simple recordings of these, just voice and guitar." And he goes, "Well, you could come by and record them here." And I just thought, wow, there's sort of great poetry to that. The idea that I could come by to the place where I recorded my very first CD,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I don't want to count the years, but it's like 30 years, 30
Uh,
more than 30 years ago. Um, and so Monday I go in and we will be doing like a, I'm going to split the tracks, vocal and guitar, separate tracks, and I'm going to put in a click track because Jeff Torella has written a song for me and he said, "I'd love to produce a song of yours." So I would have tracks that I could just send him. And Dan was like, "Yeah, I'd love to do a treatment. I'd love to send some to Kurt. And I'd love to send some to you."
oh yeah.
So we might have, just ordinary acoustic folk versions. We might have like versions that my friends have like messed up.
Oh yeah.
All of
No,
this
I'm
sounds
totally
kind of
into it.
fun.
Let's do it. It's fun. It's like
Excellent.
Anna Jam. Um, I remember
Anajam. What's it? What was
and
it? What is Anajam?
a million years ago, I went to a movie present. I went to like a festival of animated shorts,
Mm.
and one of the animated shorts was Anna Jam, and what it was they got like 20 animators together, and each animator got 15 seconds, but it had to be the same character. There's this
Whoa.
one character, and it goes from one animator's interpretation to the next one, and some of them are really hilarious. It's all over
Awesome.
YouTube. Just look up Anna Jam, and it's from like probably like 1989 or something like that. But it's really funny, and there's a lot of this. What's the famous one? Exquisite Corpse.
Oh, that
That's
sounds
like the
familiar, but I don't.
surrealist thing where
Yeah.
you'd write a line and then you hand it to the
Oh,
next person
yes.
and they write the
That's right.
next line. You hand it to the next person, they write the next line. I think it was called
Right.
Exquisite Corpse. I think it was like a surrealist thing. I forget who came up with it, but I think it's a cool idea. Um,
Yeah. I mean, here, I'm going to move my mic a little closer. Maybe this will help a little bit.
oh, it sounds better.
Okay.
Definitely.
There we go. Straight on. Straight on. Miking technique. Um, so yeah. I mean, that sounds like it could be a fun project. Meanwhile,
Meanwhile,
the album that I started with Jim's Big Ego 2 years ago, 3 years ago at Ducky Carlisle's place, Ice Station Zebra, before he passed away, we had all the basics done for an album that I'll name later. We
right?
have a name for it. And Dan has been working on it in his studio with a series of interns from Berklee College of Music. And we there were a couple of songs that we just couldn't get, and there were three of them. One was new, Destructible, and then Red Motorcycle and Jackson Heights.
Okay.
And I said, let's go in and let's put the band around a stereo mic
Uh huh.
and let's just get a live recording
Yep.
of those songs.
Mhm.
And Dan was like, really? A stereo mic? Really? Which means, if you understand Dan, that's a terrible idea, Jim. That's going to be a mess. And I don't know. He said he did have a good reason. He said the only place to do it is in my basement, and in the basement we just don't have really good sound. So if we were in like a beautiful sounding, not church, but like a sound room, we could space the drums far enough away and the bass close enough to me, and then keyboards further away, so that Jesse and I were right near the mic, and then keyboards further away, and then drums really far away, so they don't overpower everything.
All right.
And that would work. But in limited space that we had, a stereo mic wouldn't work, which is sad. But someday I'm hoping that we really can record that way, because they set up an extremely complex set of microphones, including a ribbon mic for me, and just like, I don't know, it was like 12 microphones around the room to be able to capture each person, and then also some baffles in between. And I think it sounds really good. It sounds like the 1970s. It sounds like 70s vinyl when I listen to the first thing. Now, to Dan's ear, it sounds chaotic because, it's a live recording. But I also feel like that's important. That kind of chaos in the music says these are human beings, right? And with Spotify filling up with just AI garbage, I think that's more and more important. So that's an experiment. It's only 3 songs, but it pushes the album, if we can even call albums anymore. It pushes the collection of songs into like 14. So it'll be a generous new release
Well,
for
the
our
the
listeners.
good news is that tracks cost nothing anymore, and you can record an infinite number of tracks simultaneously. And
True.
so you can stick a stereo mic up, you can stick a mono, you can stick up 32 microphones in any position you want.
Right.
And therefore you can push the fader up on number 1, which is your single stereo mic in the center, and go, yeah, that sucks. Yeah, forget that.
Right.
Dan was
Yeah.
right. I'm full of shit. Okay, pull
Well,
that.
we did have a stereo mic, as it turns out, amongst the 12 mics that were up there.
Right.
And I just sort of filled it out. I think one of the problems is we didn't quite mic my acoustic guitar correctly, so it sounds thinner than it is.
Right.
And that's the Collings, and that's, of course, an amazing guitar. But I really love the way those tracks sound. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
I'm putting them on there. I'm also going to re-record probably one of those songs, maybe 2, maybe Destructible and Jackson Heights over with Steve. And then I'll have 2 clean tracks to a click, and we can build out from there if we want. But there was a track that you liked months and months ago, from the Song a Week series that I was doing, and you asked me to send you separated
Yeah.
tracks with a click.
Yep.
And I think it was Shadowboxing.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll have that. I'll have that ready for you at some point.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Because I
maybe
couldn't
next
match
week.
it at all. I tried to
No,
put it into Ableton. I was like, what the F is
yeah.
Where's the 1?
No, and I'm skipping past the 1 or I'm anticipating the 1 on a lot of
Yeah,
the
it's hard. It's just hard to
work.
tell, and it speeds up and slows down, all that kind of stuff. Which
yeah.
good music does. But if you're going to collaborate with people, you're going to collaborate with people like me. Yeah, we need something a little more metronomic. But cool. That sounds good.
Yeah. So that's going on. I went and taught 2 workshops at Dar Williams's songwriting retreat. Remember, Dar was on our podcast a while ago, and hopefully we'll come back and talk about driving around the country in an electric vehicle, because the first thing I did when things were just, splitting up was I got
Jimmy got a sweet ride. Boys and girls, listen up now. Jimmy got himself I'm not a car guy at all. I don't care about cars, and I was in love with this vehicle.
At first I thought, this is crazy. I'm just buying a car on a weekend, So I went to Carvana. I never test drove it or anything. I just looked for like the cheapest, best car I could get. And I found a used BMW i3. And that's the one that the best description I've heard is, it looks like a Fiat. It doesn't look like they're like sleek sports cars or SUVs. It looks like a boxy little Fiat, and it's bright blue, and it was made to be recycled. You can recycle almost the entire car. It's carbon fiber and like recycled plastics and cloth interior that's made of like hemp fibers. It's just really nice, and it's electric. It's got a short range, so I call it Rangely, and
But the
I
interior is
managed to drive it
beautiful.
around.
The interior just
is
feels
so
really
nice.
good. There's something, the way they sculpted that interior space, that feels really nice about it.
And there's so much more space than you think there is in a car like that, because there's no hood, there's no front. It's like you're right on the front of the car, and
Right.
You've got the entire wheel bed to work with. But yeah, that's a sweet little car. But it only goes about 120 miles before you have to recharge it. So, well, less. I mean, actually, if you don't want to just run out of juice on the road. And I did take it up to see David Parchekian, another guest of ours. Just this past weekend, we took a bike trip, and David, almost killed me. He was like, "Do you want to take the long route?" I'm like, "No." And then he made like filet mignon on the grill, and it was like, oh, the best thing I'd ever eaten in my life. And it was really good. So that was really fun. And on the way back, though, I saw the battery just dropping like a stone. So if you start going up around, if you like maintain 75 miles an hour for any like period of time, that thing will take you about 70 miles total. It's
Yeah,
really scary. And so uh, so I read a lot about, well, you really want to kind of drive it around 65. I mean,
yes,
you just want to top it out around 65.
yep.
So you can actually limit your speed. Yeah. So I set the limit for a certain mode. I set the limit to 72. So if I do another drive like that, like on the Mass Pike, if I come out and see you, then I'm just going to be in the right lane. I mean, I don't care. It's
That's
not
fine.
meant to be a speed demon on the highway, but
No,
it's fantastic around town. It's fantastic for day-to-day stuff.
yeah.
I totally dig it. And I took it down to Dar Williams's retreat, where I was teaching 2 songwriting workshops. And I found out that I love teaching songwriting to people. I love coaching songwriting. I don't even know how to talk about it yet. I like being a songwriting coach. Maybe that sounds right.
Why? What do you
And
do? Do you just say,
well,
"Oh, your song that sucks. Here,
yeah,
hand me the guitar. Let me show you how to do this." Is that your pedagogical method?
yes and no. Yes and no. Um, I I listened. So the first workshop I did, like a ton of people came. It was like 20 people. It was really, I had 90 minutes to deal with 20 people's songs. And so it was really fast. Um, but I mean, the first thing I asked was, um, do you want feedback on this song? And then sometimes they would play a song and I'm like, that song sounds like it's finished. Is it finished? And if they say yes, then I'm like, so, I know that they just wanted me to leave.
Next.
Yeah. I'm like, next. I'm not like evaluating people's songs, but I want to provide people with a direction to go in when they're stuck. And, I have some basic principles about what's important in a song, especially the kind of songs that are being written there. And narrative is key. Storytelling is key. It really comes down to a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, which is how much human beings live within a storied mental environment.
Mhm.
And, the song needs to get you into that story in the first line or first 4 lines at most.
Yeah.
And if you don't, people will just, it's so easy to hit skip. So, that's part of what I was doing when I was coming at it. Was there was one person who kind of brought a song and was using words like kinda, sorta, and I was like, "Just cut those out," right? Tell the people what's actually happening. Don't make them think it might be sorta, kinda. In the
Unless
context of the
unless you
song.
specifically wanna deliver that impression.
Right, exactly. But if it's just that you're trying to soften what you're saying in the song because 'cause you're
Don't.
not feeling confident, then just try cutting them out and just see if you can do it without them. Because so there's a lot of little things, and what I found out
Sure.
is I have a lot. I'm very opinionated,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of advice as to like how to make a song work.
Cool.
And I told this to a friend of mine, and they were like, "Well, can you coach me?" And so we've been doing once a week songwriting coaching session. And they were talking me through all of these ideas about how to put together a package that will work for other people. And so I'm going to start doing some songwriting coaching. And I might also maybe apply to do it elsewhere, which I
Okay.
can't talk about yet.
Okay.
So that it's sort of a strange new opportunity that emerged. All of this, all of this around this huge turmoil that
Yeah.
kind of have the upheaval, I think is a better term for it. So, um, yeah, I've just spit out pretty much almost everything that's happening. I feel like there's even more, except that I have been through during the furniture assembling phase and the moving phase. I just was completely worn out, especially the moving. That was just insane. Getting out of my office was crazy.
You had a
And
lot of stuff in that
that was
office.
a lot. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it. I'd been moving out. slowly into my office for a while. So
Yeah.
um, that was a lot. I'd actually had some help moving some things over. I got a mover to move the sofa, which was a great sofa. So I'm glad I kept that.
Did they get up the staircase?
Yeah, they tore up the walls on the way up the stairs. And my new landlord, I was like texted him immediately and said, "Yeah, the sofa tore up the walls. The
Yeah.
movers. I put it on the movers, and I love it." He was like, "Oh, no problem. I can come by and fix it like tomorrow. You want me to come by and fix it tomorrow?" I'm like, they're your walls, so whenever you want to
You can fix them whenever.
do that." I said, "I
I'm
thought I
good.
should go spackle them." He said, "No, no, no, don't touch it."
Ah.
Yeah. And every time I've like mentioned something, that's going wrong in here, he's just like, "Oh yeah, I'll come by." So far so good in terms of renting. I guess I'm renting, right? I've been an owner for a while and now I'm renting again.
But you're
So what
saying
was the
you
thing?
got
Oh,
wiped out between the
I got
moving
wiped
and
out.
the.
So it was like I had the flu or something, and I just spent like there were mornings or afternoons or evenings where I just lay on the sofa and watch TV, and I was determined. I got Paramount Plus, which I know they're evil now, and I'm going to cancel as soon as I can. But I
Oh,
got Paramount Plus for like $1 a month for 2 months.
right.
One of these deals that they have, and they have all the Star Treks that I haven't seen. So they have the new ones, right? There's
Okay.
Strange New Worlds, which has come out recently. There's Star Trek Discovery. There's Picard. There's The Lower Decks, which is an animated series that's humorous. I think those are the ones. I don't know if I'm missing one, but if I didn't name it, I did watch it. I just haven't gone through all of the Lower Decks. I've seen all of it. So I'm caught up in the Star Trek. And it sounds like they're going to abandon it because it's being sold to Skydance, which is like it's a conservative media company. So they're going to cancel Star Trek. Which might be okay. I mean, they really have gone
There's
pretty
certainly a
far
lot
with the
of it.
ideas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Strange New World is amazing. I mean, so I think it is. You saw it, you just you couldn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I probably watched, I don't know, up to like episode 6 or 7. There's one where what is it? There's the one where they're all dressed up like characters out of a kid's storybook. Remember
Oh,
that one? Remember the doctor has the daughter that he keeps in the transport
yes.
buffer, and he
Yeah.
wheels her out every now and then, and
Yep.
she
Oh,
has
and
she has a storybook about a prince
right.
and a
Oh,
king and
I
a
remember the one.
magician,
Yeah.
and then everybody in the ship has to dress up. And at that point, I actually liked that episode
I
because
thought it was cool.
it was so complete. It's like, yeah, they're not even pretending to hew to Star Trek in any.
That's what I love.
It's a pre-holodeck version of the holodeck, and part of me was like, "Good for you," and the other part of me is like, "I'm out of here."
Well,
Like,
you couldn't stay with it. Well, what's great, I think, actually, what you missed, what you didn't see, was the musical episode, and that was unbearable and hilarious. It was like TV torture in some ways, and it was also completely brilliant.
yeah,
And it might
and
be the next episode, or make the 1, 2 on. You can see if you want to like check it out. It's it's really funny, and the songwriting's really good. So I don't know. I don't know if you know. I know. You probably don't.
it's fun for me.
I'm a fan of Christopher Pike, so I think that his storyline is interesting in it. He has foreshadowing of his death.
Yeah,
So there's something very tragic about that figure, and in the serious episodes, that plays heavily, and it's really pretty. They handle it really well, I think.
but it's the interesting
Um,
thing. What I thought when I was watching is like, it must be incredibly liberating. Because
yeah,
you know that no matter whatever if you truly believe it, then hey, I can't screw up anything until my due date. So
right,
I
right.
can boldly go where no man has gone before,
That's right.
because nothing can kill me until December 3037 or whatever it is. But I didn't see them playing off of that.
Well, the
Um,
due date is unclear. It's not clear when.
oh, he knows. It's like 10 years from
Oh,
now. Like at the beginning, he
yeah,
actually,
you're right. He does. He has an idea of how
yeah, he
long
has a
that he's
fairly
got.
good idea of exactly when it's going to happen. But whatever. But yeah, it wasn't the worst show, but I
You're not
wasn't
in it.
digging it. I
Yeah.
wasn't digging it, and he was carrying a lot of it on his shoulders. he alone. I found a lot of the other characters really weren't, like, they were too archetypal.
Mm,
They really weren't in their own skins. It was just like, yes, here's the noble doctor, and here's the wisecracking, engineer. It's like, okay, yeah, I've seen
no,
this 100
mm.
times. But anyway, I know you love it, and it's fine. It's
That
great.
was
We all
good.
have we all have our guilty pleasures. We all have our shows that we explain to other people, and other people go, "Yeah, thanks, Lionel. Yeah, you you do you. You're out of your mind."
The one that I compulsively watched all the way through, but that I really didn't like past the second season, I didn't like much in the first two seasons, was Star Trek Discovery. And it actually predates in terms of the Star Trek universe, it predates a lot of the other stuff, except then they jump into the future. Um, and there was, I think they even knew this, and they were getting feedback from this. The So many of the characters lacked any kind of confidence in themselves. They were constantly they were constantly questioning themselves, you know, and there were so many lines like "Let's do this. You can do this. You've got this."
Oh, right.
They were like kind of buoying each other up in terms of their self-esteem. They all had terrible self-esteem. My brother, I think, said, how do these people get through Starfleet?
How did you get to start? How did they pass the psych exam?
They just seem like total wrecks,
Right.
and I get it.
A
It creates
ship
an
full of
emotional.
neurotics.
It's weird,
Look,
and
did you
it was a
check? Did you
strange
check the
choice.
dilithium crystals? I asked you to. Are you sure
Oh,
you
there's
checked
not.
the?
So here's what I'll give you an example. Okay, Kirk and Spock and McCoy have to beam down to the planet, and they're on the bridge, and they're like, all right, we need to beam down to the planet. Next scene, they're in the transport room. They're telling Scotty to beam them down. Next scene, they're on the planet. In Discovery, we need to beam down to the planet. And then suddenly two of them are in like a different room and they're saying, over the past year, all my life, I have felt that, something was wrong. And when I'm with you, it feels right. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you and all you've done for me.
Beam down, God
And
damn it!
like, there's a black hole approaching the
Right.
planet. Like, you need to get down there. So it creates this anxiety in me just to watch that. But it occurred to me, I'm Gen X, so I'm like first generation Gen X. And we're much more like kind of the act, like, I don't know, what does this pipe do? Let's hit a brick with it.
Right.
The, whereas this was very much geared towards like a millennial. And I'm not going to down talk millennials. I think that's stupid, but it definitely had that feeling of like the need for a lot of self validation, a lot of validation.
Huh.
And the characters are constantly demanding it. They're constantly needing it. They're constantly questioning themselves, even the ones who shouldn't. Um, and that I just found kind of ridiculous. But it may just be, the generation I'm part of.
Wow.
I know a lot of people love it. But for me, there was something about it that just grated. That grated. Picard was pretty good up until the final season. It was so incredibly awful. It was so cringeworthy. It was nothing but fan service for next generation people. It was embarrassing. They shouldn't have
Oh,
made it.
well.
And Lower Decks is very funny. Lower Decks is just like a spoof parody of all the Star Treks ever. But it's done at that speed of like my brother's shows that he works on in Hollywood. So that's really like a Gen Z show. So they're trying to cover all the generations, and that sort of makes sense,
Hmm.
right? You've got the really old people with Picard, and you've got the like me, and you've got no. I think Strange New Worlds is kind of is trying to overarch a bunch of different generations, but Lower Decks is definitely Gen Z, and Discovery was very much Gen Y or millennials. It was,
Oh.
but oof, man, wow. Hard to watch, and yet I had to. Had to watch every episode, every single episode.
You had to go down with the ship.
I did. I did. So what have you been ingesting anything? We've had like
No,
2 months off.
really, I haven't. I've been like rereading stuff,
Hmm.
but I haven't really read. What was the last thing I read new? I don't know. But I've been really digging this history of the 20th century.
Is
By
that
this guy Mark Painter. It's a podcast. It's an hour-long podcast. He does, I think, about one a week. He's done it since 2016. He has 500 plus episodes. He's up to the
hmm.
1940s. I think he's up to like
Wow.
1943. Um, and I just really like he goes real in depth. I learned he did a fabulous episode on King Leopold and the Belgian Congo and that horrible, horrible, horrible
Yeah.
chapter in human history. He did
Now,
a
King Leopold
really
was
King,
Portuguese?
no. This is 1900. This is King
Oh, oh,
Leopold of Belgium.
oh, okay. Right.
This is the heart of darkness. This
Yeah.
is this kind of stuff. This is colonialism gone feral.
Yeah.
Um, and King Leopold just turns the Congo into like a Hieronymus Bosch picture. It's just
Mhm.
outrageously brutal. And it's interesting because the history of the 20th century guy goes into great detail about how it came down, and it was eventually brought down. One of the key people in it was African American preacher
Mhm.
um, who went there and started telling everybody it's a hellscape,
Right.
and nobody believed him. But I forget exactly what happened. But he kept pushing on it and pushing on it, and finally, they somebody appointed a commission to go down there, and they appointed somebody, I think a British lady, who was very pro-colonial, very pro-colonial stuff, and she came back and says, "Yeah, it's a hellscape." Like
Mm.
beyond anything you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
And that was the end of it. And But it's a very detailed. But anyway, but that's the kind of level of detail you get from the history of the 20th century. It's really, really good, and I've really been enjoying that. Recently, he's doing Theodore Roosevelt, the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sorry, I don't want to like repeat it, but do you have to go? I mean, I
No,
think you
no.
want it's fairly short.
Yeah, but no, I want to hear about
Okay.
this.
No, the interesting thing about the 1904 World's Fair is that the World's Fairs around 1900, 1902, 1904 are all intertwined with the reborn Olympics, the modern Olympics, which
Mhm.
were started by Pierre de Coubertin. I'm probably mangling the name.
Right.
And One of the things they did at the 1904 World's Fair is very much segregated the during the athletic stuff they segregated blacks out from the white athletes and all that stuff like that,
Mm.
and had all kinds of explanations for why they do that. And Pierre de Coubertin said, "You guys are out of your minds." He
Yeah.
says, "And the day will shortly arrive when the black people are going to smoke your asses." I mean, he didn't put it in so many words, but I was really amazed what he said. He says, "The day will come soon when these people from Africa will outdo you in every athletic performance."
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
whoa,
Mhm.
dude, for 1904,
Right.
pretty brave words from the guy who's organizing the Olympic Committee. So again, really meaty, deep, real deep dives on stuff. He's not reading Wikipedia.
So
He's
there's the history
not.
of the 20th century, and the guy who's producing it is what's his name
Mark
again?
Painter, I believe,
Mark
although he never
Painter.
says who he is in the thing, but his
Okay.
name, but it's history of the 20th century.
Is that
Mark
with two
Painter.
X's?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
in the logo? Yeah.
Yep.
I've
Um,
listened to some of it, especially because he also did the 19th century. He did some pieces on the 19th century, the Belle Epoque, and I had listened to his treatment of that, and I thought they were really good and really in depth.
yeah, he goes real. That's the key thing is that it's not just somebody regurgitating the Wikipedia page on things. It's somebody who's really getting right down to the operating system level, right down to the BIOS, and showing you some good stuff. So my hats off to him. But honestly, other than that, I wanted to see the Mission Impossible movie. That didn't happen.
Mm. I've been wanting to see the new Superman movie. I hear it's good.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
Mhm.
I just I haven't really. I mean, I'm a boring human being.
Well,
Um,
I went down a rabbit hole last
all right.
night.
Yeah.
I went down a crazy rabbit hole. I was just looking around YouTube and I came across scientists who are debating the flat Earth people,
Yep.
and I know it's insane. In fact, it's so insane that a lot of the scientists really don't know how to debate the flat Earth people because they keep running into like, wait, so you don't believe in outer space? You know, like they just can't get their head around the level of craziness that goes into trying to prove it. They're not even really trying to prove that it's flat. They're assuming it's flat, and that then they push the scientists to try to prove that the world is a sphere. And the first thing I saw, the scientist just was unable to debate this other person, and so the flat Earth person, or the flurfer as people call them, just ran roughshod over him. Right? I
Mhm.
mean, using every logical fallacy and also just switching topics whenever the answer wasn't something that worked for him. The next one I saw, there was a guy named Professor Dave, and it's Professor Dave Explains on YouTube. And he completely destroyed the flat Earth person.
Mhm.
And it all comes down to, does Antarctica exist as a landmass? I mean, right? That does that sound crazy? I mean, everything about this sounds crazy. I can't even, how if there's no sun, they don't believe that the sun is a ball of gas. They say things like the first one was saying, well, what does gas do when it's not in a container? It dissipates, it fills the room. How can the sun be a ball of gas? They don't believe in gravity.
Right.
They believe that we're held to the earth with electrostatic charge.
Yeah.
It's a level of illogic
Well,
and a lack
it,
of faith in established science that is so extreme, but it
or
also really illuminates the state that we're in right now.
or just perversity. I mean, yeah,
Well,
maybe it is, they are bomb throwing anarchists, but maybe it's just they're having fun and they think this is lulls all the
I
way
some of
around.
it,
And this
except that I don't think so, because something happened about 6 months ago at the winter solstice, which is a man put up, like, I don't know, $500,000 to fly 4 flat Earth enthusiasts to Antarctica, to the South Pole, because they believe strongly that there is no 24-hour day. The sun in their model, which is like a pizza with like blobs of cheese being the continents, and they have this very complicated configuration for how the sun, can light up Chicago and Buenos Aires, but not London.
right.
Um, and so they have that figured out, and the moon is some, and they have an explanation for a lot of it. Also, is like NASA is it part of a grand conspiracy, and all
Oh
the books
yeah.
have been
Yeah. I
rewritten and
mean,
they're lying to you, and all the scientists, Ptolemy never said what he said, etc. um, but they're very firm on this, because around the rim of the pizza world is this wall of ice, and that's what we think Antarctica is. And they said nobody's ever sailed around Antarctica, which is not true. Um, there's literally a race. There's a boat race that goes around Antarctica, annually. So, like, so 4 of them were flown down to Antarctica, and there's a documentary
and shot.
on YouTube, and it's it's kind of awesome. They're like, because in their model, the sun can go around the edge of the world, but it would set depending on where on the edge you were,
Mhm.
right? The sun didn't set. The sun didn't set for 24 hours. It just went around the horizon at 15 to 35 degrees, and they saw it with their own eyes.
Huh.
And they brought like cameras and drones and geo positioning systems, and they live cast everything. And so, what do you think happened with all the rest of the flat earthers?
They said that they were stooges and making it
They
all
were
up.
they were co-opted.
They were
They had
crisis
fallen to the
actors.
dark side.
Yep.
Satan had them. A lot of it's very linked with religion because if you have a flat earth, then a lot of what's in the Bible is true, is literally true. And if you have a sphere, they're smart enough to know that if you have a sphere and the sun is, what is it, 95 million miles away, a lot of the stuff in the Bible doesn't hold up. So their worlds are really, their whole reality is dependent on the world being flat. And it's kind of amazing, two of them out of the four, possibly, are saying, I'm going to have to rethink all of this.
Well,
The earth is a sphere. One of them got on, one of the other flat earth podcasts and said, it's a sphere, guys.
well, there's two things that really come strongly to mind when you say this. First off, the fact that we're even discussing this is a win for the flat earth people.
I guess. I mean, but they're out there. They're literally doing
Well, they always were.
True.
They always were. And if they weren't out there, they'd be created because it obviously is content that gets people's attention. But the other thing, that a more serious thing to remind everybody is, one time I remember listening to people debating evolution, and they said, well, it's just a theory. Darwin's evolution is just a theory. And I'm like, yeah, like everything else in science, it's just a theory. Right. Everything's just a theory. And for 1,000 years, Ptolemy worked great.
Yeah.
Ptolemy worked fine. And in fact, that's the hidden thing. This is why they didn't put Kepler in the Iron Maiden. When Copernicus came up with his stuff, Copernicus was a clergyman. He was a priest from Poland. And he came up with De Rerum Orbis with all this heretical stuff in it. So why didn't they tear his head off? Because he said in the beginning, look, this is just a mathematical model. I'm not saying that any of this is the truth. It was
complicated. It was hard to understand. And so I don't think the church was worried. When Galileo wrote his piece, it was funny.
And he had a character called Simplicissimus. Yeah. And he wrote in Italian. And
people could laugh at it, and they found it fun, and they liked to read it. They're not going to read Copernicus.
Right. They're not at all, which was written in Latin, and only 12 people in Europe could understand most of it. But also the thing is that, Copernicus, again, people got to, science is a theory. There are theories. The fundamental essence of science, I believe, this is Karl Popper's whole thing. The foundation of science is refutability. At any moment, a theory can be refuted. And at that point, proofs and refutations, Lakatos and Popper and all those guys. And they're right. And that's the key thing, is that it's just a model. It's just a model.
Don was great at explaining that to us, I thought. I mean, Don Smith.
Yeah. It's like Monty Python. It's only a model.
It's only a model.
And it is. And you can't get too bent out of shape. I mean, Ptolemy worked great for 1,000 years. The geocentric model developed by Ptolemy worked fine.
But I want to interject. Ptolemy's model, the Earth is a sphere. So flat earthers can't even go back to Ptolemy.
They knew.
Yeah,
they
knew.
The Babylonians and the Sumerians, they all knew it was a sphere. It's easy to figure that one out.
Yeah.
That's the easiest thing of all.
The thing that gets me is where people say it's whatever, gravity is just a theory. No, I mean, I think what you are confusing it with is a hypothesis. We use the word theory in the English language as the same as hypothesis. In science, a theory is tested. You may have a hypothesis at the beginning, but then you test it. And if enough people test it, it's peer reviewed, it becomes a theory. So it's not just merely a theory. You could say it's merely a hypothesis, but that's too long a word, So some of it's just like misuse of the English language, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's probably not, a distinction without a difference. But
no, but the point I'm trying to get across, because I've really thought about this a lot, is very subtle, which is, look, I've read countless stuff about Einstein's theory of relativity. I've read countless things about quantum mechanics. I've read countless things about various astronomical theories, and I love them.
Mhm.
And to a certain degree, like Newton said, hypotheses non fingo. Newton said, I do not make hypotheses. He gave no explanation for why gravity works. He
Right.
just said, here's the equations. So
Right.
there's this interesting thing about a scientific theory, which is that it has two powerful properties. This is the two ways that a scientific theory can work. One, it's incredibly good at predicting future phenomena.
Right.
So as long as it predicts what's going to happen tomorrow, who cares,
Right.
really?
It
Whether the
works.
sun goes around the earth or the earth goes around the sun or bunny rabbits come out of my ass, it doesn't really matter because all I care about is when's Easter going to happen. And if I plug these numbers into the theory and it pops out the right thing, I'm good.
Yep.
I'm all set. And
Yep.
yeah, if you say it's just what you crazy science hippies do when you get all by yourselves, you come up with all these stupid ideas about epicycles and space-time, space-time continuum and stuff. I don't really give a shit. All I care about is that when I plug the numbers in, it tells me accurately it's going to happen. And actually, there's three things, like the Spanish Inquisition. The second thing is that a good theory has to accommodate new observations. So if new observations come along that were unexpected, the theory should be able to accommodate that.
Right.
Otherwise, it'll get blown away. But then the third thing is that a theory is a good explanation of what took place so far. And the theories that run into the most headwinds are theories that talk about the past. Geological theories, theories of evolution, and stuff like that. Because it's really hard to prove the theory of evolution. It's not impossible, and actually it's been done a lot more. But when Darwin came up with it in the 1850s, it was just a really good explanation for what had happened up to that point. There was no way they could really prove. They didn't know what DNA was and stuff like that. And in fact, it turned out that Darwin, there are things that Darwin never even conceived of, such as horizontal gene transfer, which I was going on and on about the last time we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where something like evolution, because evolution is not something that you plug. It's not the kind of theory where it's primarily known as something that you plug numbers into and it'll tell you where you can land your spaceship on Mars. That's not what the theory of evolution is about. So anyway, and that's I'll leave it at that. We can always talk about this more in the future.
Yeah, we can come back to it. You probably cannot make it through any of these debates with the flurfers, but
to me, it's immaterial.
There's just something about the working of the human mind that I feel like I learned by watching this. It's painful and enraging, and yet there is something about the degree to which people will cling to their idea of reality in the face of any evidence that you throw at them. And then there was a threshold. There was a level of evidence that destroyed their model. And watching that happen there was something very profound about it. And also, not in a way of like, oh, I feel so superior. It was like, no, this could happen to me. This happened to me. And, hopefully enough of the time I let go of my old model and I embrace the new one.
Yeah.
So that is where I'm going to want to end.
Okay.
So next week, we've got a great guest. We've got Jonathan Weiner, amazing mastering engineer. And I'm looking forward to that. And I'm glad to be back here with you, Lionel.
It's glad to be back too. See you next week.
Funny Not Funny is produced by Jim Infantino at Slab Media in Boston. Jim Infantino and Lionel Casson are the co-hosts. Our website is funnynotfunny.net. The theme music is from the song Wheel from the album Utopia Revisited by Jim. The opinions presented by the co-hosts are ridiculous and should not be taken seriously by anyone. Our intended audience is literally nobody. If you're listening to this podcast, you should probably pause to reflect on other choices you've recently made. Please do not subscribe or leave a rating or review. It only encourages us to make more. Thanks for listening.